Make a plan and stick to it, is what I like to say. Until that plan bashes you in the face. Let's talk about it.
Welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner Podcast. My name is Coach Scott. I'll be your host today. I had planned to talk today on the podcast about sort of doing a more deep dive as to why I chose to do Ironman Lake Placid 2023, sort of as really like a huge focus of mine over the next year plus, actually, probably 13 months at this point. Plan to kind of do a little bit deeper dive into the psyche behind it and what I want to accomplish. And then everything kind of came to a screeching halt this past week. And now I feel the need that we need to talk about that instead. So let's talk about it. Went through the podcast last week. By the way, this is 3 weeks in a row with a podcast. So, hey, good streak. I would have put the podcast out yesterday. They called me in to do the Meals on Wheels route that I do. Someone had backed out of it. So we just swapped days and I took Monday. So, feeding the people took priority over the podcast yesterday, so I do apologize for that. But we are here 3 weeks in a row, so I feel good about that progress. But anyway, coming off of last week's podcast, I felt super motivated, really, really great. I felt, I just wanted to dive into training, literally for the pool, and get things moving and get things started on a right, on the right path, and it really did. It took off. Monday, I ran a 5K on the treadmill. Monday night, felt really good about it. I haven't really been doing a lot of run training, so a 5K was a nice place for a beginning of the week run. Just a nice place to kind of start. I ran, I think, just sub 10-minute miles, which was pretty good for what I want to do, where I wanted to, for the workout that I wanted, and my current fitness levels. I felt really good, like a really good place to be. Fast forward to Tuesday, I went to the pool. I did a workout with the paddles. The paddles focus on really mostly strength, trying to increase your strength with your pull. It offers resistance in the water, and I figure a year from now, if I just keep doing those workouts, it's going to make me a stronger swimmer. And with the swim, it's always it's easy to kind of turn your back on the swim. For the sheer reason that, look, if I'm a 123 or 124 Ironman swimmer, that was my 2 races that I did well. That was my time. I think there were like 4 seconds difference. And so that's my time. What am I going to improve? If I improve to the maximum, what's my swim going to be? 105, 110? It's only going to improve me, 15, 20 minutes in the long run. When you look at something like my bike, if I improve my bike, it could be an improvement of an hour plus. So, when you talk about, focus on the swim, you don't want to deny the swim. You don't want to pretend it doesn't exist. But in the scope of things, the swim is a very small portion of the race. And so a lot of times it takes a little bit of a backseat. So I want to make sure that I get 1, 2, even 3 swims a week. I've already got my lane time for this week. We'll talk about that in a minute. But the paddles are going to be a focus of the swim to try to get me to become stronger, be able to swim harder. So got that done. Tuesday night, came home. I did an interval workout on the treadmill. Now, I know you guys are saying, oh, it's summer, you should be outside. And yeah, I agree. I do agree. Sometimes with timing, though, for me, it's about kind of getting my daughter to bed. And then if it's still light out, usually it's not, because she goes to bed about 8:30. It's starting to stay light out a little bit later, but still, it's not really, it's much more convenient to just kind of come downstairs and use the treadmill. Although I do want to work in a good number of outdoor runs as well. Sometimes the treadmill is a little bit easy and gives you a false sense of security. So we're on it. Wednesday, we did a race through our Zwift Club, Team Ordinary Zwift Club. We're doing another one this week, by the way. And man, I hit that hard. It was a 15-mile race, and I went after pretty hard. I averaged a little over 200 watts, which was kind of what my goal was. I felt really good coming out of that. And I live streamed the whole thing, which a lot of times I try not to live stream my races because I feel like, God forbid, I threw up. Or at least looked really foolish. And sometimes you go out really hard and you just kind of hit the wall, and it's miserable. It's a miserable thing to watch if you're, well, it's probably fun to watch if you're watching the live stream, but it's a miserable thing to be the focus of attention, I guess, if you're hitting the wall. But the races are fun and a really great workout. And I felt like last year in training, we did a lot of those zone 2 workouts where it's just ride a course over a certain period of time and not really do a lot of stressful intervals or anything like that. So it felt good to do a race and to work in some workouts that are going to be high intensity, which I didn't really do a lot of this past year. And then Thursday came. Thursday is our trivia ride on Zwift, and typically with that ride, I'm busy reading questions and and typing in the chat and reading answers and just kind of having fun. And it's just a fun, really not stressful ride. So we ride for 50 minutes. I burn 300 calories. I go very light. I'm closer to 100 watts on that ride typically, and I'm just passing the time. So what I decided to do for Thursday rides was to back those up with a small run. So a brick workout, but a very light brick workout. It's all going to help in the end to kind of work on that feeling of transition from bike to run, just those new muscles, engaging those new muscle groups once you get off the bike and you get into the run. So I finished Monday through Thursday feeling really good, guys. Really proud. My weight was down. I was eating great. And then I woke up Friday with just a severe pain in my foot. I could barely walk. I could barely put weight on it. I took some Advil and it kind of dulled the pain a little bit, and I was kind of able to just get around, but there was no running. There was no exercising. And the pain has lingered. It lingered through the weekend. It's gotten a little bit better. I think it's some sort of I don't know, either it's sort of like tendonitis or arthritis, and it, kind of like, I do get gout from time to time, and typically that rests in my toe. This time it seems to have rested in kind of the area right above the foot and where the foot meets the ankle. Initially, I was a little unsure. I was thinking tendonitis, maybe, God forbid, a stress fracture, but didn't really feel like it was in a stress fracture place. I thought maybe plantar fasciitis is another possibility. It was the weekend, hadn't gone to the doctor, and now things are starting to feel better. So I don't think that I am going to go to the doctor unless it just lingers or starts getting worse. Last night I did start feeling some pain in the toes and actually a little bit in the joint in the knee, and gout typically hits the joints, which is why I'm thinking that's probably what it was. And I kind of attack that when I get it with aspirin, and usually it's like a 2-day thing where I just take some aspirin to dull the swelling. Except for this time I didn't really have that regimen because I didn't know what it was, so I hadn't really done it. So it's been lingering a little bit. It's been a little painful. It just took me out for 4 days: Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Today I may ride. Tomorrow I will ride for sure. Tomorrow's ride is the Alpe d'Huez climb on our Team Ordinary Zwift Club, our weekly ride. That one's going to be hard. It's going to be a hard ride. And I don't know, given that I took the weekend off, I don't know if this is going to be, this is like one of those points where I don't know if it's, hey, maybe the rest in general will be good for me, and there'll be like sort of recovery, especially still with the lingering sort of effects, I think, from Chattanooga a little. But I mean, clearly I feel, other than the injury, I feel fine. I feel sort of at, almost peak. I feel good. Or if I've actually started to sort of turn the corner after a few days and starting to lose. I'm getting older. You start to lose faster. Last week was a really solid week up until Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And that leads me to kind of the theme, I guess, for today's show, which is, sometimes you make great plans, and sometimes you get really excited about those plans and you're really focused on them. And then it just takes one little slip up, or one little thing, one little aggravating thing, maybe a schedule change, or maybe, I've seen some of my athletes have moved. It's like trying to keep training while you're moving is difficult. You get these impediments, a job change, or, one night you set a goal to do a workout at night, and then your kid's up late and won't go to sleep or something. These little things that kind of get in the way of training, and they including injury, and they throw you off track. And it's these times, I tell you, and for me, and I'll be honest, I got to the weekend and I did not focus well on my diet. I didn't. I let it go for the weekend, and a little bit of it was because of sort of the dejected feeling I got from, hey, I was on a really good start of the week pace, and I had really solid plans for the weekend. Long ride on Saturday, long run on Sunday. I had plans, and those plans just got shot out of the water, gone, kaput, and it's depressing in a way, and it's just a matter. The problem is that there's two ways to handle that, right? Is that, yeah, you can dig a hole and you can get upset. And especially I think when it comes to diet, because when you're talking about planning on spending like 3 hours on the bike, potentially if you're doing an outdoor ride, for me, like I have to drive to where I'm gonna ride. So you're talking about a 4 to 5 hour part of the day where I normally would be exercising and not have that sort of that food, that eating, impulse, right? It's not there because you're busy, and it's not there. Whereas opposed to now, now that the exercise is gone and the impulse is like, oh, well, what are you going to do? Well, I'm not going to exercise. Well, I'm sitting in front of the TV, or well, I'm, in front of the computer, and, oh yeah, let's order food, or let's do, whatever it may be. It's easy to kind of lose that mental focus. And I did a little bit. I did. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you, I'm on point all the time. Lesson learned though, and I turned it around. I think really for me, the bad day was Sunday. We had volunteered at a local triathlon. It was a sprint triathlon, and Samantha and I went, and with Stephanie. Stephanie was stationed in one place, and Sam and I were doing traffic on another place, and it was a really fun day. We had a really great time. But it was one of these days where I wasn't racing, and they just had a ton of food all over the place. Donuts, bagels, pizza. I ate all of it. And I didn't, I got home, and the original idea was to go and volunteer, and maybe have a bagel, whatever. You can put some carbs down, but I was going to go and do a long run in the afternoon. Never happened. Instead, because I didn't have that, and not because I didn't have that, but one of the reasons I didn't have that hanging overhead, like I need to be ready for the run, right? So I would normally be sitting there thinking, all right, you got to do a long run later. So make sure you're only eating things that are going to be positive for that run. So if you want to have a little carbs, that's fine, but maybe kind of, leave the pizza and the donut. You can still eat the pizza and the donuts, but not in the quantities that I probably did. Just be cautious and prioritize the run, because this is what you're aiming for. This is your goal. And now you remove that run, and you remove that sort of that responsibility to the run. And look, I'm not saying the responsibility lies on me 100%. I'm just giving you sort of the backdrop to one of the things that you face, right? One of the issues that you face when you get injured, or there's any kind of impediment to your training. And that's kind of, that happened to me on Sunday. I just sort of lost a little control with the diet and just wasn't paying attention. I wanted, the thing is, especially after last week's podcast, I was, soup to nuts. I want to do this the right way. And then boom, you get hit with adversity in the first week. And for one day, I didn't react the proper way. And so lesson is, you got to stay focused and you got to stay on it. And especially for people, I'm going to say people like me. And I know that there's a lot of you guys out there that are like, I just have this food impulse. It's like, it's a mental disease. Right? It's whenever I walk through the kitchen, I got to grab something, and when I'm focused, right? When I'm focused on results, and when I focus on thinking, all right, how am I fueling my next run or my next workout or whatever, and how am I reacting or eating the right thing for my fitness? I can kind of focus on eating right and eating well, and that is a big goal for this whole thing. Is to get to my optimal fitness weight for next year. And look, one day is going to throw you off, but it's not going to be the be all end all. And kind of what I've learned is, injury, it's very easy to go to kind of lose focus, right? You lose focus because you're not working out, and all of a sudden it's taking a back seat. So you lose that focus and you kind of go off the deep end a little bit. But in reality, if you're injured, right? If you're injured, that is the time where you need more focus, because it is very easy to go off the rails a little bit. It is very easy. You need more focus. And I think that after that day, when I woke up yesterday, I was like, oh, my foot still hurts. It's still not good enough. I think I can run on it. We took a lot of steps on Sunday, like 13,000 steps, I think it was, on Sunday, volunteering for that triathlon. So I was out there, I was on it, which probably didn't help. But I do feel like it feels better this morning, not 100%, but it's definitely on the mend. And I'll be right back at it. And like I said, lesson learned after Sunday, which is I wake up on Monday and I feel bad, but there's nothing you can do about Sunday. There's nothing I can do to remove one poor disciplined eating day, right? The only thing you can do is say, all right, from here on out, if something happens that I lose focus on workouts because of an injury or because of any kind of distraction, that is not a time. Winners step up and focus in those times and still try to maintain what they can to reach their goal. This is just a bump in the road. It is not a long-term injury that's going to, I'm not going to be sitting here in 3 months going, when can I start training again? More than likely, I'll be on the bike on Wednesday night going after it. So I'm happy that it's not a structural, really bad deal that's going to inhibit my training going forward. But in the meantime, it doesn't remove you from the responsibility of being the athlete you want to be, right? It does. If you still want those goals, of which obviously I do, it's time to kind of turn up the notch on responsible eating and being responsible in every other area except for the actual workout. If you can't work out because of injury, you have to, and you still want it, you have to dial it up in the discipline. You have to be aware. You can't just let it fall to the wayside. And I think, lesson learned for me. And again, guys, one bad day, and I'm sharing it with you because that's what I want to do on the podcast. I always want to be honest. I don't want to sit here and be like, telling you that that because of my injury I'm not eating and I'm trying to lose weight, I'm trying to suck down pounds through fasting or anything like that. That's not happening. I am eating, and again, I will talk about diet. We'll do a whole podcast on diet in the near future. But for now, this is where it's at. I got a little banged up over the weekend. It's disheartening. But the lesson here is, when you get that impediment to training, when you get that distraction, when you get that thing that stops you from doing what you need to do or want to do in order to reach those goals, it is not time to be sad and depressed and lament life and the things that are thrown at you and take it out on your dining room table and your pantry closet and your refrigerator. It is time to step up in those areas and say, all right, this means I need to eat extra healthy. I got to be extra vigilant when it comes to what I put in my mouth, because I don't have that. You don't have that offsetting, right? You don't have those calorie offsetting workouts, those muscle building workouts. There's nothing there, right? So you have to be on top of the other facets, the things you can control, and that's kind of what I've learned this weekend. Which I mean, come on, I say I learned, but we always knew. It's just about putting it into practice. And I got to tell you, I responded well yesterday. I ate very well yesterday. I did get to the gym. I had to train a client in the gym. And I adjusted my workouts to kind of just focus on upper body. I did a little bit on the rower. But the foot still hurt a little bit. So I didn't do a lot. Again, I'm kind of in this mode where I don't want to hurt it worse, right? So you don't want to make it worse. You want to make sure that whatever you're doing is not going to make things worse. So, I did a little bit, probably about 7 or 8 minutes on the rower, and then just moved on from there. I did some upper body exercises, but I stayed away from anything that was going to potentially hurt the ankle. Like I didn't do leg press and things like that. But again, back, and the diet was great yesterday. So I'm back on track mentally. I just had the one hiccup. And look, if I'm going to be serious about this, I got to be, we said soup to nuts last week, right? Soup to nuts. That should be I should make a t-shirt, soup to nuts. but we're not gonna have many hiccup days like that. We're not gonna have many slip ups. We're not gonna have many moments where there's days in a row, and really this was just one day, but days in a row where I lose focus. It's not going to happen. This needs to happen. Next week we're going to tell you why it needs to happen, and for that I think we're going to call it quits on today's podcast. I don't know how I did about 20 minutes. Wow, I rolled about 20 minutes about how I got injured and need to stay focused. But it is true. It is true. It's hard to stay focused when you're injured. I do remember back in my football days getting injured, and I was out for like 3 or 4 weeks, sprained ankle. And it's very hard to sit there and watch practice and try to kind of be involved as much as you can without kind of just, losing focus. I did come back from that injury, and I played one game before my senior year, and I played pretty well that day. So, lessons there too. But that carries over to other sports is what I'm saying. When you get injured, you can sit there and feel bad about yourself, and you can cry about it. And it sucks. But in the end, you got to focus on the things that you can control, and from here on out, we're going to do that because this is a big goal for me, and we'll talk about it again. I know I'm rambling a little bit, but we'll talk about it again next week. So thanks for coming. 3rd week in a row, we got a podcast out, feeling really good about it. Keep an eye out if you're on Zwift. We got our Team Ordinary Club ride. If you're not a member, if you're on Zwift and you're not a member of Team Ordinary, you can go into the club. In the club section, look for Team Ordinary. I believe it's open, so you can just join the club. Join the club. You can join us on our club rides. Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. will be some sort of workout or challenge or some sort of, high-intensity workout on Wednesday nights. Thursday nights, we do our trivia ride. If you need an invite to that one's a meetup. So if you need an invite for that one, if you want to invite, just reach out to me and I'll let you know, or I'll send you an invitation and we'll get that going. We're going to try to get some music trivia out there for you this week, this Thursday night. Haven't done one of those in a few months. Been kind of relying on the Trivial Pursuit questions, which was a godsend. Thank you, Mike Romans, for that great idea. Yeah, it's two weeks in a row. I think I complimented Mike Romans on his intelligence. It doesn't happen often. Actually, I think I made fun of his intelligence last week. I don't think I complimented him. So it evens out, right? It evens out. Thank you, Mike. A lot of things going on with the team, and especially with Zwift. And I know it's summer, so you guys are riding outside. But if you want you want to get involved with some of those things, be it through the Team Ordinary Club or through the meetup rides, let us know, and we'll get you involved. That's all I got for today. Good to recap last week. I still feel pretty good about where I am. I have Ironman Muscle Man coming up. This is a big, as much as it's a small impediment right now for Lake Placid, which isn't for another 13 months, this is a big impediment for Ironman Muscle Man, the 70.3 I'm doing in about 3 weeks, 4 weeks, something like that. It is a big impediment to that because I was hoping to improve a little bit from Chattanooga to there. And taking 4 days off, 5 days off in the middle is not really conducive to improvement, but it is what it is. You can't work out through an injury. You can't. You don't want to push it hard through an injury and just make it worse, because then the next thing you know, I won't be racing, and I definitely don't want that. So lesson learned. I hope you guys get something from this. And remember, every day is an ordinary day unless you make it extraordinary. So get after it, guys.